Okay, got it. Got it. Set up. Okay. Hi, I am running a couple minutes late, so I was coming from another appointment and my car's in the shop, so I had to Uber and it took like way longer for them to actually get to me. Hold on, I gotta go grab my glasses. But it took them longer to get to me. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a couple minutes late. And then I'm like, I don't want to come rushing in and not have everything set up. So thank you for your patience. Hi guys. Hi. I'm so excited to see everyone. All right. So if you are not caught up, you guys know that the replays are on Empowered Abundance under Bible study and oh, not cancel. So if you're like, what the heck is she talking about? I don't know. You can always go back and look. And guys, the way that we roll is I show up, I pull up wherever we're at in whatever verse we're going over, and I just say words. So, are you guys ready? First Corinthians 8. Oh, wait, we already did 8. We're on 9. Oh, see, it was all set up on 9. I'm like, we're not doing 9. We're on 8. We're on 9, guys. Okay. Am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Have I not seen Jesus Christ our Lord? Are not ye my work in the Lord? If I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I am to you. For the seal of mine apostleship are ye in the Lord. Guess what that just said? Guess what, guys? If you're plugged in, you're a carrier, you're an apostle, you are anointed, right? Now, okay, spoiler alert, you already are. But when you're plugged in, you know it. When you're plugged in, you experience it, right? So, one of the things that is the how we get jacked up in, well, no, I'm trying really hard not to say that we get jacked up, you guys, because in all reality, everything happened exactly the way that it was supposed to happen to bring you to where you are today. Okay. Nothing's gone wrong. Nothing was amiss. Everything that's taught is taught for a purpose and a reason. There is everything happening has been filtered through the hands of a really, really good dad. So nothing's gone wrong. Okay. However, do we have some misunderstandings about stuff until we have understandings? Yes. So one of the misunderstandings is that Jesus was special. Now, was Jesus special? Yes, but so are you, right? The apostles were anointed. So are you. What makes you anointed? Jesus and what he did on the cross. You're anointed, right? Which means you have been trusted with the Spirit of God inside of you to make manifest the glory of God. The only difference between people who do that and people who don't do that, right, is are we aware of it? Are we aware that we carry the essence of God? Are we aware that we are in identity love? And when we become aware of it, we use it on purpose in our power. When we don't know it, guys, we act averse to that love because we don't know who we are. Because if we knew who we were, we would know what to do. Yes? So, you're already anointed. Jesus proved that on the cross. Okay. So, mine answer to them that do examine me is this: have we not power to eat and to drink? have we not power to lead about a sister, a wife, as well as other apostles, and as the brethren of the Lord and Cephas? Or am I only, and Barnabas, have not we power to forbear working? Okay. Who goeth a warfare, who goeth a warfare at any time at his own charge? Who planteth a vineyard and eateth not of the fruit, therefore? Or who feedeth a flock and eateth not of the milk of the flock? Say I these things as a man, or saith not the law the same also? Okay. I'm not quite grasping all of this exactly what, like, specifically, but that's okay because that's not how we roll here. We're just trying to look in the context of the entire Bible and who we are and in our identity. What the heck is this talking about? So, okay, this might seem a little off. And guys, again, remember, if I say something, you're like, I don't know what Lori's saying, disregard it, right? Just don't worry about it. Hear my heart, know I love you, and like throw away some of the shit that I say. But here's really what's coming up with all of this is like we're all doing life. We're all experiencing being 100% human and 100% spirit, right? And when we recognize, okay, I'm already anointed, I'm already in right standings, I already am, that doesn't make me different from the perspective of my human experience. It allows me to know how to navigate my human experience maybe differently. It allows me to recognize my power in my human experience, but this is the human experience, right? And we eat and we drink and we do things and we screw up and we say we're sorry, and it doesn't change what's happening in the spirit as living in the fullness of Christ. And where it said something about who goeth a warfare anytime his own charges, basically what's coming up with that is, guys, we don't have to like fight anymore. We don't have to like be in this place where we're like we have to fight the enemy, we have to like defeat the devil, we don't have to do that anymore. We already did that. Jesus died on the cross, said you're already free. Now just go live that way, right? And I think I talked about Solomon yesterday. Eat, drink, right? Be oh, actually I sent that to Dee Dee. When Solomon was like, hey guys, I've done all these things in my life, I've done all these, like I tried to get really smart and really wise, and I have a lot of money, and I have all these servants, and I have all these things, and when it all comes down to the end of everything, the whole purpose of life is to eat and drink and be merry in the things that you came to the planet to do, right? Enjoy yourself, enjoy, right? We've already done the fighting, we've already done all that. We don't have to do that anymore. We get to now start living from the fullness, from the joy that we've been given in the awareness now of our already right standings. Yeah? I'm not sure if that's what any of that meant, but that's what's coming to me to say. So there you go. Okay. Who goes, okay, I read that. For it is written in the law of Moses, thou shalt not muzzle the mouth of an ox that treadeth out the corn. Doth God take care of oxen? Or saith he it all together for our sakes? For our sakes, no doubt, this is written, that he that ploweth should plow in hope, and he that treadeth in hope should be a partaker of his hope. If we have sown unto you spiritually things, it is a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things. All right. Guys, again, I feel like this is just coming back to like we're 100% human and we're 100% spirit. And when we get to a point where we recognize that the juice of life is in the integration, now it doesn't really matter what's physical and what's non-physical. And yes, I show up and I give you spiritual stuff, and then you give me a glass of milk or whatever. Like the exchange is no longer about a tit for tat, right? In love, what is the exchange? Right? And I'm not sure what the above has specifically to do with like this verse right here, shall we not reap in your carnal things? But I feel like the bottom line of all of this is, guys, in love, the exchange is equal no matter what the exchange is, whether it's something in the physical, like here, buy my scissors, or here, like tithing, right? That if we go to a church or we're getting spiritual something, the carnality of the exchange isn't the point, right? It's the energy exchange that is the point that I feel like he's making here. Okay. If others be partakers of his power over you, are not we rather, nevertheless, we have not used this power, but suffer all things, lest we shall hinder the gospel of Christ. Do ye not know that which ministers about holy things live in the things of the temple, and they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar? Even so hath the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. Okay, now that I understand. Some of this, guys, and again, I'm just showing up, and some of it you're going to get way more like insight in, and some of it I'm like, all right, this is what I think it's like God's revealing to me, but whatever. But this specifically right here, I think this is another place that we get like a little mixed up with really what like church and like how we position people based on the church, and how we what it's supposed to look like, right? Because we've been told that the church isn't for the saints, it's for the broken. Okay, but if you still believe you're broken, yes, there is a place for you to go. But if whoever's teaching you in the church that you're still broken, there's see, I want to go, there's better counsel, because we're not broken yet. Everything is perfect and everything is supposed to be the way that it is. And I think this is really just calling. And again, you guys, I feel like what I'm about to say is a little judgmental, but it really isn't judgmental. I feel like it's judgmental from the perspective of I feel arrogant in what I'm about to say, but I don't think it's judgmental. I think it's just what it is. Because I feel like that verse that says, you know, if you're called to leadership, you have a whole lot more responsibility. Well, I feel like people shouldn't be preaching the gospel unless they know what the gospel is, right? And I feel like this is what it's saying. What is the gospel? The gospel isn't the Bible. The gospel is the good news that the Bible describes. So if somebody's saying they're teaching the gospel and they're just reading out of the Bible, that's not, I don't believe that that is the fullness of the gospel. The fullness of the gospel is the good news. What's the good news? You're already in right standings. You're already loved. You're already whole. You don't have to do anything to please God. You can't do anything to please God because he's already pleased. And you can't do anything to displease God, which means if you disobey, it doesn't piss God off. Are there natural consequences to not doing what is appropriate in your life? Yes, there is a law, right? There's a law of cause and effect. But guys, if we don't understand the separation of our human and our spirit and the laws of both and how both of them work, then we get caught up in our sin consciousness, right? And that's Hebrews. Hopefully we get to a point where we talk about Hebrews. We'll see where God takes us next. But guys, the point is this. If I know that I'm in that my spirit is in right standings already, I'm already healed, I'm already whole, and nothing has gone wrong. Now, guess what? My human can make a mistake and rely on grace for forgiveness, for like making the adjustment, for navigating differently, right? I can stay in this place of I'm already in right standings. Oh, and I made a mistake. Hey, I'm really sorry I made a mistake. Or we get a prompting for that God says, hey, go say this to this person or go say this to this person. And we don't have to live in the guilt that we did something wrong that was disobedient. The disobedience is sin consciousness. And Hebrews talks about if you are in Christ, you're invited to leave the sin consciousness and step into Christ's consciousness, which is I'm already forgiven. I'm already in right standings. Now I'm going to live my life from right standings. And yes, my human is going to make mistakes. Why? Because my human is ever becoming, ever evolving, ever expanding. Yes? Do you guys get the difference? And again, if we don't understand that we are 100% human and 100% spirit, that's two totally different things happening simultaneously, which is why, guys, the Bible talks about why Jesus said when he was telling his disciples, eat my body, drink my blood. And the disciples were like, dude, that's disgusting. Okay, you've totally crossed the line, right? And then Jesus is like, yeah, okay, bye. And then he looks at his disciples. He's like, the 12, he goes, are you guys going too? And what does Peter say? Dude, where will we go? You have all the answers to life. We can't go anywhere. But guys, Jesus was offensive to people. Why? Because he said you're 100% human, 100% spirit, and this fullness of living heaven on earth is where you can have enough faith to actually let the two coexist simultaneously. No wonder not many actually enter into that space. Yeah. So that was a really long little tangent back to this one verse that I'm saying is we have to be partakers of the gospel in order to genuinely preach the gospel. I need to, as best as I can in this 7 seconds, know the rightness of myself, not in myself, before God. Ooh, that was really sexy. I'm going to say that again. I have to know the rightness of me, not in myself, but before God, in order to actually live out the gospel. Because that is the gospel. The good news is you're already in right standings. You can't screw this up. You absolutely cannot screw up life. You can't do it. It's impossible to screw up life because Jesus already took care of all of it on the cross. Now, again, does that mean that our human doesn't make mistakes or say shitty things or do douchey things? That's not what I said. I said you're in right standings and you can't screw it up. Right? So when I do a douchey thing and I know I'm already in right standings, all I do is I go to that person and I go, you know what? I just realized that thing I just did, super douchey. Really sorry. Please forgive me. right? But what happens if I don't know that I'm already in right standings? Guess what happens? Now my sin consciousness takes over. And I go, oh my gosh, I did a shitty thing. I was totally douchey. That person's going to hate me. Or I better not admit that I was douchey, because then that'll prove that I'm douchey, that I'm totally like this person. And I don't want to be that person. So I'll pretend like it didn't happen. Or I don't want to face the responsibility of doing a mean thing or a bad thing or a wrong thing or whatever. So then we get caught up in our guilt. That's sin consciousness, guys. Sin being apart from God. Oh, let's talk about that real quick. Guys, do you know how the Bible defines sin? Not how the church defines sin, how the Bible defines sin? Missing the mark. Missing the mark. That has nothing to do with behavior. What's the mark? I'm already in right standing. So if I'm missing the mark, it's simply that I have forgotten that I'm already in right standing. That's sin. When I forget. Well, Lori, you're saying that I'm sinning when I forget? Yes. Yes, I am. Well, then, Lori, you're saying that I can't control if I'm sinning or not. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Guess why? Because your sin doesn't mean anything between you and God. It means that you're functioning apart from the awareness of knowing that you're already in right standings before God. And when you know you're already in right standings, you can't sin. Does your human do douchey things? Yes. Welcome to the human experience. It's not about not doing douchey things. It's about navigating so you do less douchey things and apologizing when you do douchey things. Yes? You can't not be in right standings before God in your spirit. You can't. And the only way you're not in right standings in your human is when you forget. But that doesn't change your right standings in your spirit. So it actually doesn't matter over here from the perspective of anything other than, well, yes, there's natural consequences. What are the natural consequences? I might have to say, I'm sorry. I might not have, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something that would be a bad consequence, but once we're in right standings, every consequence is just a consequence, and it's not really bad or good. It's just a consequence to reveal to us, to remind us of the invitation of our right standing. Yes? So it's not about punishment and reward anymore. I've already been rewarded with right standing. Now, when I remember that, I walk it out more and more every day. It's an ever unfolding of the glory of God in you. And it has nothing to do with you. Because if you could try to not sin, if you could obey in your human power, well, then you would earn your way to heaven. And we already know that that's not how it works. How do we know that's not how it works? Because when Jesus died on the cross, he said, it's finished. Yeah. Guys, you're magnificent. You're already magnificent. You are already exactly who you're supposed to be. And when you know it, you will see more and more of your identity as love unfolding right before your eyes. Yeah. Is this so cool, guys? Is this like, this is good fucking news? Yes. Okay. Woo. Okay. Even so, hath the Lord ordained they that which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. Okay, we just talked about that. But have used none of these things, neither have I written these things, that it should be so done unto me. For it were better for me to die than any man should make my glory void. For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yea, woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. Guys, now again, the way that this reads is that he's doing something. Is he doing something? Yes. But when you know you're in right standings, you can't not make manifest the glory of God. It doesn't matter what you do, because guess what? Guess what? I have the coolest story. So way back when my boyfriend, when John was a pastor, we had his whole like ministry over, and the house is full of people, and he did something and it pissed me off, and I'm sure it was all my fault, but regardless, I got angry and I totally made kind of an ass of myself, and I yelled at him and whatever. And then I stomped upstairs. And then of course I prayed and I was like, okay, God, like, what's my deal? Why am I so angry? What do I need to do? Like, I want to represent you, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I had a little combo. He was like, Lori, this is what's up. And I was like, okay, dope. And then he's like, okay, now go and apologize to everybody for being a douche. Right. So I did that. I went downstairs and I was like, you know what, you guys, I'm really sorry. Blah, blah, blah. This was the thing. Like, and I didn't explain the thing because the thing with John and I didn't matter. What mattered was I lost my patience. I acted like a douche. And I stormed out of somewhere that I was supposed to be a contribution, right? And so I'm like, I'm really sorry, you guys, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm not even kidding you. Not 10 minutes later, my daughter, something happens and she gets all pissed off and she storms upstairs, right? And you guys, I'm not even kidding. Like 10 minutes after that, she comes downstairs and did exactly what I did and apologized to everybody. My daughter had never done that before. Now, how did she learn that? This guy, right? If I hadn't done the thing and come back to my remembering of who I am in Christ, and then put away my guilt consciousness and come downstairs and humbled myself, right, in front of all of these people and apologized, right, I would not have been an example for my daughter on how to navigate life. Because, guys, our human is going to do douchey things. This is not about creating a perfect world where we don't do douchey things, right? Because God so loved the world exactly the way that it was. Not that I remove you from the world, but that I equip you in the world, right? Love equips us to navigate in the midst of us being human. Are you catching this? So guys, this is what this is saying, right? Like if I know I'm in right standings, it doesn't matter what I do. Because if I do something and then I realize, oh, you know what, that hurt this person. Or, oh, you know what, I was in my human understanding when I did that. Hey, I'm really sorry. Right? Just like we were talking about yesterday with the if you tell somebody, oh, go ahead and eat the meat when they're in a consciousness where they're not supposed to eat meat, right? If you recognize, wait, I'm already in right standings, yet that thing happened. So what allows me to navigate life from my right standings? Oh, okay, this happened. And now that I'm aware that there's another choice, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm really sorry. I realize there's another choice now, right? Just like I did with the example that I made for my daughter. That's actually, guys, living in the gospel. Living in the gospel is not making mistakes. It's living from a consciousness where I know I'm already in right standings, so I'll make less and less. But I'll always make mistakes, especially in contrast, or in not contrast, that's not the word I want, in relation to other people's like awarenesses, right? Because some people might be listening to what I'm saying right now going, oh my gosh, Lori, this is totally wrong. That's not what it's saying at all, right? Because why? Because the level of consciousness that we're all in is different, right? So to somebody else, something that I'm doing might look like a mistake. But then to this person over here, it's not a mistake, which is why we can't judge what is a mistake or not a mistake. All we can do is stay in right standings before God, navigate the best we can, and constantly be like, okay, Lord, yep, okay. Do I do this? Am I on the right track? And now I'm just living from prompt to prompt. And I'm not back there trying to figure out what's right and wrong. Why? Because that's eating off the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I want to eat off the tree of life. What's the tree of life? I just show up and I let God tell me what to do. Yeah? Cool. 4, if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward. But if against my will, a dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me. And guys, all that's saying right there is when I'm functioning from my awareness of my right standings, nothing that ever happens out here, no consequence of my behavior is ever anything but a reward. Okay? The example of I lost my shit, I did the thing, I came back downstairs, I apologized. Now, if somebody in that space was like, well, Lori, you should have never made the mistake to begin with. Some would say, well, that's not a reward. And I would say, yes, it is, because the reward was me holding on to my rightness before God. And if they don't see that, that's not up to me. Can I still stand in my rightness before God? So whatever the consequence was still a reward to me. The awareness, the feedback is a reward to me. But if I consciously go, well, I am, I don't really care what this situation would be, and I'm just going to be a douche anyway, and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm functioning from, okay, this separation between me and the gospel. Yes. But even in that, guys, just so you know, even in that, and I don't know, maybe he'll say it a little bit later, but even in that, just like we talked about yesterday, telling the whole truth, right? Even if I knowingly do something, it still creates awareness, which will change my ability to do something different next time. So I still didn't screw it up. Why? Because I can't not be in right standings before God. Yes? Okay. My reward, for thou be free from all men. Yet I have made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more. Okay. And unto the Jews I became, okay. So, for though I be free, okay, I'm already free, right? I'm already free. I'm completely free to do whatever I want to do. Yet, when I understand what I've been given in the rightness of me, my desire is to serve. I don't need to do things to receive anymore because I've received the only thing that matters, which is my rightness before God. And when I receive that, I desire to become a servant. Yes? So I love this next verse because it says, okay, and unto the Jews I become a Jew, that I might gain the Jews to them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are, did I just read that twice? The Jews to them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. To them that are without the law, as without the law, being not without the law of God, but under the law, to Christ, that I might gain them that are without law. So, guys, this is exactly what we talked about yesterday from the perspective of what I say means a whole lot less in truth than functioning in love to help you understand you're already in right standings before God. Right? So let me give you an example. I used to be like, I just wanted truth. Truth is all that matters. Truth, 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 truth. So one time my daughter came to me and some kid at school had done something. And I'm like, well, Berkeley, you're called to love above that. And you just need to love the bullies. And, you need to make different decisions and blah, 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 blah. Right. And John was like afterwards, because Berkeley was like, and she storms off. And I'm like, what? And John's like, you know what? Sometimes you just have to agree with them. I'm like, but she wasn't right. And he's like, and sometimes you just need to agree with them. I'm like, okay, God, make sense of that for me because I'm trying to help my daughter be right. Right. And God's like, yeah, Lori, sometimes you just need to put your arm around somebody and say, that's a shitty thing that's happening. So I'm like, okay. So the next opportunity I got, Berkeley was like, this girl did blah, 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 blah. And guess what I did? I'm like, you want me to go kill a bitch? I'm going to go cut a bitch right now. Let's do it. And in that moment, Berkeley felt so validated and so loved. Right? Now, you guys, that seems so contrary to our cognitive mind. But you know what she did right after that? Mom, we don't really have to cut her. She's just doing the best she can. I was like, what? Like, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm totally doing whatever God's telling me to do. Like, just agree with her, just jump on her side, be on her bandwagon, right? Yet the God in my daughter knew what was truth. And what she needed from me was to know that she was already loved, she was already okay, and whatever she was feeling in that moment was valid. The anger she felt for somebody being mean to her was valid. But guess what, guys? When we validate what is truth has to emerge. That is freaking cool. Because now, guess what? In love, I can give the person across from me what they need, not what I think would change their perception. Isn't this so cool? Which is why I'll be a Jew for a Jew. Like, if there's a Jew in front of me, I'm going to speak their language. I'm going to give them what they need to validate where they're at so that Holy Spirit in them can emerge. Not because of what I did, but because that is the, what's the word I want? The isness, the self-evidentness of love. Because the absoluteness of God is the self-evidentness of love. And it doesn't matter what I do, I will never, ever, ever supersede the love of God. No matter what my human ever does, it will never supersede the love of God. Right? So when I'm able to actually meet my daughter where she's at as a freaking 9-year-old girl that the cool girls are picking on her, I get to validate, yeah, that's shitty. Those girls are mean. And then love says, not really. That's just a perception. Yeah. And I know that's very bass backwards, you guys, but I've lived that long enough to know how powerful it is to just validate where somebody's at. Right? So if you're under the law, if you're not under the law, if you know the law, if you don't know the law, I will meet you wherever you're at. My very first retreat that I ever did after God gave me this model, I did this retreat and there were 19 women at the retreat, 16, 19, 17, whatever, something between 16 and 19. The point is, I had everything from an atheist who didn't like She was like, no, I don't think anything's out there. I'm like, okay, but we have to have some commonality. Like, do you think that there's like natural law? She's like, oh, yeah, I believe there's natural law. I go, good, I can work with that. And then I had Catholics and Mormons and charismatic and like non-church people and spiritual people, everything from the most staunch Mormon to somebody that I had to like figure out how we had some commonality, because she's like, no, there's no God, no, there's nothing, no, nothing. Okay, well, natural law, a seed produces like a fruit. Okay, that I can buy into. And it was the coolest experience, because guess what? If I said something and somebody was like, well, Lori, that doesn't make sense, God would show me how to change the verbiage so that they understood the absolute non um what's the word I want, non um subjective truth, right? Because the non-subjective truth is love, right? And so I would say something and the atheist would say, well, I don't understand that. And God would give me verbiage that would explain the same truth, only a way that she could hear it. And then the Mormon would say, well, I don't agree with that. And God would give me verbiage to describe this unchangeable truth and law the way that she needed to hear it. So cool, right? And this is what Paul is saying. Like, love supersedes it all. Ooh, I only have 2 minutes before I have to jump on another call, but I have a really cool story about this, which I will save for tomorrow. I will purpose to remember if it's important and tell it later. So anyway, I do have to get on another call. This is so cool. I appreciate you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow at whatever time I said, like, is it 9:45 or 10 o'clock or whatever time it is tomorrow? As always, please ask me questions. I'm here to answer. Please challenge anything that I've said, because that's super cool for me. And yeah, I adore you guys. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you tomorrow. I feel like I totally just cut that off super short, but guess what? I gotta go. And I adore you guys. See you later.